Last game is the Monday Night Football game. It's the New Orleans Saints taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. What is the matchup that matters here for this one, Carmen?
Well, with Rashee Rice, there's no clarity on his injury yet. Andy Reid said today that they're going to wait for the swelling to go down to do additional tests, but that can't be good.
Right.
Who else do the Chiefs have? They have Xavier Worthy. He's been kind of just used as a little bit of a gadget, kind of, all right, well, he's going to stretch the field. Defenses are going to have to respect that, but how much is he really producing for you? The answer is not a lot. It's going to fall on Travis Kelce. And he, I think, has been on a pitch count. I think any of the things about him being, losing a step and whatever, maybe he has a little bit, but it's been overblown. I think that really Kansas City is thinking about preserving Travis Kelce as much as possible for the postseason. But at the same time, you don't really have anybody else you can turn to if you're Patrick Mahomes at this point. So how is that going to match up versus the Saints defense? And the Saints pass defense, they've allowed a lot of yards, the eighth most, in fact, but they kind of clamp down when it comes to scoring. They only have one passing touchdown allowed, which is tied for the fewest with Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They also have the seventh best coverage grade against tight ends in particular. Now that should be taken with a little bit of a grain of salt, given that Travis Kelce he is a tight end, but he acts like a receiver. He runs routes like a receiver.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily match up when you're talking about coverage against tight ends. But that being said, the Saints do have the seventh best EPA per play against tight ends too. So what wins out here? Is it the relationship between Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, or is it the Saints defense? And that's done pretty well so far.
Yeah, I'll go right into my plus factor with that one before I jump back to my matchup that matters, because it sort of goes along the lines of that conversation. Xavier Worthy is my plus factor because of what you mentioned. Worthy has been involved in the offense, but it's really just been, he's been that deep threat type of a player. He's been that, okay, get the ball in his hands very quickly. There's just not a lot of variance, it feels like, to what he is doing. Like, it's either a screen or it's a 9 route. Like, it's one of those two things. And now that Rashee Rice is hurt for an extended period of time, we don't know exactly how long yet, I think a lot of people are looking at Travis Kelce to be able to step up. But in my opinion, there was nothing holding Travis Kelce back from stepping up before this. I just think that Father Time's kind of catching up to him a little bit. And I don't think that he can't have a great game here and there. It's just, I don't think it's going to be the Travis Kelce even of what we saw last year. So Rice getting hurt, to me, doesn't necessarily change Travis Kelce's role, but it does change Xavier Worthy's role, because theoretically, they can kind of start to give Xavier Worthy some of those Rashee Rice targets, which are the shorter targets that are designed to block up really well and get him yards after the catch with that great speed. Xavier Worthy, 12.0 average depth of target so far this year. Rashee Rice, 6.5. It's almost half of that. So these targets, how you are targeting these players, is completely different. Who gets a lot of that work now? I think for what you wanted Rashee Rice to do in that role, have a lot of yards after catch, you would theoretically get the most out of that from Xavier Worthy because of how fast he is. So do they not completely, do they partially change up how they're using Xavier Worthy? And if they do, how effective can he be as the new Rashee Rice in this offense, if you will? We'll see. That's why I think that he's a plus factor there. My matchup that matters, though, I think Derek Carr versus the Chiefs defensive line is a big one, because when you look at Derek Carr, he's been playing very well in this offense. He's been playing very confident. And an area that I really love how well he is playing is under pressure. 80.5 passing grade under pressure this year. That is the best passing grade under pressure that we have through the first 4 weeks of the season. Now, his offensive line is playing well. They're not giving up a ton of pressures, but when he has been pressured, he has been performing very, very well. The Chiefs defense, though, kind of a different animal. 73 pressures this year, 7th most in the NFL, and going up against Chris Jones, that's always a different story. Steve Spagnuolo is very diverse with how he's going to bring pressure to you. So sometimes it's not always even about pressure being recorded. It's where it's coming from. It's how it's coming at you. Not every pressure, in my opinion, is equal. Sometimes you have pressure where, all right, you're walking up to the line of scrimmage. Derek Carr sees some guys kind of creeping up. He understands what the structure of the back end looks like in coverage. And he says, okay, if my offensive line gets beat, if I'm going to get pressured, probably coming over here off the edge on the left side. And even if he's pressured, he might know that in his head ahead of time, and he might be able to roll out of it appropriately. Then all of a sudden, yeah, sure, he's getting pressured, but he's still confident as a passer at this point because nothing fooled him. The Chiefs and Steve Spagnuolo, the pressure could kind of come anywhere. And so there might be a lot of unforeseen pressures that he might face this week as opposed to
simulated pressures. Would you say simulated pressure?
Well, sometimes because the simulated pressure could be like they're coming or they're not coming. This one, it's more of just like, okay, it might be coming from a different, but to your point, yeah, creepers, sim pressures, a lot of stuff like that, just to confuse Derek Carr, maybe a little bit more under pressure. So that to me, does the grade under pressure hold up for Derek Carr? To me, that is a big matchup that matters. But you already mentioned yours. Now, what is your plus factor here for this game?
Real quick, that was a bar though. All pressures are not created equal. Can we get that on a hat?
I'll buy it. I'll buy the hat. It'll just be me. Maybe you. Maybe two. Maybe two will be okay. All right. So we got two. We got two sales. Somebody call them up and get the merch deal done. Let's go. I'm thinking $5 million merch deal right off the bat, and we can guarantee two sales right away. They'll definitely go for that.
Yeah, you might have said it, but I had this idea, so I think we both get a cut.
Whoa. Now we're going a little too far. Now we got to talk about this off air.
Plus factor is my favorite, Trent McDuffie, because he's an all-pro as a slot corner last year, and then this year the Chiefs say, well, you did so well in the slot, let's put you on the outside, which I don't care what anybody says, those are drastically different positions, and they require drastically different skill sets. I remember having so many of these conversations with Sean Murphy-Bunting when he was part of the Bucs, because they were trying to kind of figure out exactly where he was best. He liked playing on the outside more, but he was kind of their best nickel, so that he kept being forced inside. How did that work? And it's really interesting that Trent McDuffie has been just as effective as an outside corner. Not to mention, it's pretty evenly split between left and right side. So not only is Trent McDuffie really good on the outside, he's good on either side, and he can travel. So does he then travel with Chris Olave? Does he travel with Rashid Shaheed? Who is he kind of matched up with, and what problems is that going to create for Derek Carr in particular, when you have this really, really good corner that is now traveling and can be anywhere and do anything. And that really allows too for Trent McDuffie's vision and kind of his anticipation to come through. I think that we should be expecting even more kind of, turnovers or takeaways by him as the season progresses, as he gets more comfortable on the outside. But he's only allowed 4 catches for a first down. He's had 1 forced incompletion. I expect those numbers to keep going up, and I expect that to maybe start happening as soon as this week against the Saints. And I would anticipate that Trent McDuffie is going to travel with some of these guys.
Trent McDuffie is one of the best in the NFL, and I'm always excited to see how they deploy him every single week, because like you said, they put a lot on his plate, and doesn't matter.
Coming out there,
the kid eats. That's all it is. No matter how much is on the plate, the kid eats.
He's so sweet. He's such a wonderful human. So I root for him.
Yeah, me too. He's awesome. I got to interview him pre-draft, and I remember this is when he was still at Washington. This was early in his last year at Washington.
Yeah.
And I got done with the interview, and I was just like, all right, first rounder. There we go. Yep. Don't really need to see 2 more. I've already seen the tape. I've understood the dude a little bit more. So he's great, and he's a big pivotal part of why that Chiefs defense gets to stay as multiple as they are.